So now that we are in Substance, the first thing you want to do is import your mesh. And once it loads, you're going to see that all your parts are in the software. And the first thing you want to do after you import is bake your textures right away. If you don't have a high poly, you can just check the use low poly mesh to high poly mesh and just bake it. That way you can get the maps needed for the smart materials if you're using smart materials. So now I go to the texture sets and turn off the texture set that I'm not going to be using as of right now. And I'll select my high poly since I have one. And I'll leave everything how it is and bake just to get a base baked map. And now that it's baked, I check my model. I see it has a couple of defects, and that's fine because in Maya I can just rotate those faces and put it in between, and that was expected because those logs were in the middle and they're overlapped. Now I bake again with a higher resolution. I like to bake my maps in 2K or 4K. That way the bake comes out crisper and I don't have a lot of pixelated defects on my bake. So now it's just a matter of looking for your materials and dragging them into the layer tab. And now I'm gonna work on my wall. So first thing I want to do is take off the vegetation, since the wall I'm going to be working on doesn't have vegetation, and it's just a matter of adjusting the properties. And all these materials, for the most part, all of them have properties that you can modify and get the look that you're looking for. And that looks about right to me. I keep modifying just to get the look that I'm looking for the material. And that material, how I said before, I got it from the Substance source. So now that I have that, I could change the color on it if I need to. And now I'm gonna click on this little square, and what this do is that it lets me just assign that material to those specific meshes. So what you're doing is basically masking your material onto those meshes. So you can mask two ways. You can mask with that little, that's a new feature of Substance, or you can just do a black mask and select the faces that you want. Now what I'm doing here is I'm getting another material for the top wall, because the top and the bottom wall are the same. So I'm looking for a plaster material. So I select the medieval plaster. And what I'll do is I'll assign it to my wall as well. And then when I export, I just export the texture 2 times and turn one on and turn one off. So now I'm just gonna tweak the properties so that I can get the look that I'm looking for, or a look that I'm happy with. And here I'm just adding some of those cracks and getting that look that I need. And Substance is all about just tweaking the properties and adjusting sliders to get the look that you're looking for. And then if you want to mix and match any material, just use the generators for it. You can see here I'm just changing the color to get more that tone of the reference image. And adjusting the color for the cracks. Now what I do is I'll group those two textures together and named it as wall materials. And then I'll just mask just the group. That way that I know that that group is only for the walls. Now I'm applying another texture for my logs. And all these materials, if you don't see that specific material that I used, just go into Substance Source and download one of the materials from there. I think I got that one from Substance Source as well. And I'm rotating the texture so that it goes along with the UVs. Change the color, going for more like a darker wood, darker reddish wood. And then after I'm done with the color, take off a little bit of that dirt. And then you can, on this material, you can see the repeating pattern, which is not a big deal because I can just rotate the logs and make them look different in Maya. So it's not a problem. After you assign the material in Maya, you can just rotate the faces and hide that. And now this is another material, and this material I'm gonna use it for the caps. And remember that all the caps are the same, they're all stacked, so I just have to do this once. I'm getting that lighter color, that yellowish type of end for the log, and then I'll just mask it and click on select faces, and I'll select the UV faces. And now I want to do an empty layer, and in this empty layer, all I'm doing is I'll create the layer, scroll down, and I'll just apply some height information. I'll disable the color, metal, roughness, and normal, and then I'll use an alpha for the end of the logs, which I actually provided to you guys so that you don't have to dig the internet for one. You could use the same one that I did, and all you need to do is just drag it into Substance, import it, and then it will ask you for to define it, and you just define it as alpha and put it in the current section on the bottom and press OK. That's about it. And I'm just adjusting the height value and see if you can see it from far away. And I'm increasing so that you can have more detail. You can see it for from farther away. Now that we have that, all we need to do is rename it. And now we have everything in the group. Now the next one is the roof. And for the roof, I downloaded from Substance Source another material. It's called Medieval Slate Roof Tile. And I'm showing where I got it from. So that one right there. And then all I'm doing is masking. I'll group it first because I just want to mask the group. But then what I'll do is I'll start tweaking the rotation, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do one side, then mask that side and duplicate that layer and just rotate it to the other direction. So here I'm doing the right side first. So now that the group is masked, I'm playing with the values so that I can get something that looks more like the reference image, and playing with the properties. And you can see that the properties for this specific material gives you a lot of control of the detail that you can add to your model. But there's so much you could do with the properties they give you. So if you want to do more replications, you just go to the top and then you play with the scale of the texture itself. And now I'm playing with the colors to get more of a match. I'll remove the moss, since I don't need that moss on the roof, and I'll reduce some of those empty spots or missing tiles. And you can see the little details. Those are like watermarks. So I'll make them black, as I don't want none of those green tints in my material. And this is dirt. So you can add dirt to your roof if you need to. And here are the missing tiles. So now I'm just reducing the amount of tiles that are gonna be missing from my texture. So now you can see that on one side it goes the correct way, but on the other side it doesn't. So what I did here was just create a black mask and selected faces or UVs. Faces is better because it lets you select the face that you want. And sometimes you get this effect that you select some faces and both sides get selected. I don't know why this happens, but the way around it is if you go into your 2D view or your UV view, then this doesn't happen. So here, I'll deselect everything with black. Then with white, I'll start selecting the faces that I need. And that's how I get half of the mesh. Now, all I want to do is duplicate the material. Apply another black mask on it so that I can reset my mask. And then select the other side. And now, just rotate modify the rotation. So that's going up, going to the side, and 270 going the opposite direction. Now you can see that I have a nice encompassing texture on both sides. And then on the edges, I'll do the same thing. I'll duplicate the material and apply it to the edges. Nothing fancy. And now play with the rotation. And I'm pretty happy with that, because it blends in. Now that I'm done with one of my UV sheets, now I'm gonna work with the second one on the next video.